given a quick shout out to my colleague Darl Sparks, who works the Film Noir Foundation. Darl has informed me that there are a lot of new faces at Noir City this year, folks that we're not that familiar with. We've been doing this for, I think it's this is our 11th year, I think, in Seattle. And she has definitely noted new faces, which I think has something to do with my new gig on Turner Classic Movies, hosting Noir Alley on Saturday nights and Sunday mornings, except in February, where we make way for 31 days of Oscar. But I'll be back. I'll be back on March 9th. Noir Alley will return. And in breaking news, nobody really knows this yet, but on March 6th, I will start filling in for Ben Mankiewicz on Wednesday nights on Turner Classic Movies as well, introducing films that aren't noir. That'll be kind of a weird thing for me, but yeah, I can do it. Anyway, Darl wanted me to just make sure that the newcomers understand what this is all about and what the mission of the Film Noir Foundation is, because she's apparently getting a lot of questions out there at our merch table. I have been doing this for a little over 20 years now. The festival started in Los Angeles with the American Cinematheque. We programmed stuff at the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood, not the Egyptian Theater in Seattle. And those things got so successful that by the time I started doing them in San Francisco at the Castro Theater, and we started drawing really big audiences, not only was it becoming difficult to find some of the rarer movies that I wanted to show, but I felt that the fact that the public was responding so positively to these events, we wanted to do something with the profits. So we created the Film Noir Foundation specifically to use the money from these festivals to rescue and restore films that might otherwise be lost. So, for example, the film we showed here on opening night, Trapped, which is what we call an orphan film, because it's made by a production company, an independent production company that went out of business, and it had none of the protections of a big studio like Paramount or 20th Century Fox or Universal, who could lose things in their vaults, but they weren't necessarily missing. So we, over the years, we started this in 2006, and this is our mission now, is to find and restore as many of these lost movies as possible. And it has been a tremendous success, thanks largely to the public popularity of these movies, and that we're able to show that there's still an audience that will turn out for these films. So that is our mission. And starting today, we will be doing donation drives every day. So buy all the merch you want. We love that. But if you just want to contribute to the campaign, we will do that. There will be a donation drive, and every day amongst those donors, we'll have a random drawing and present you with a wonderful prize. Today's prize is particularly great, in my opinion. Fantagraphics, the Seattle-based publishing company, has given us some books to give away, and the one we're giving away today is called Fall Guy for Murder, the collected stories of Johnny Craig, who is like my favorite comic book artist of all time, I think, because he did noir back in the 50s that was very much inspired by James M. Cain and Cornell Woolrich, and they're fabulous comic book stories, definitely for adults. They're very, very, very dark. So that's our prize today. Okay, now, how many of you folks have not seen Kiss Me Deadly before? Oh, okay, this is great, this is great. Okay, I'm going to say that's 35–40% of the ice. Okay, here's the thing. We are now in 1955 in this year's chronology in Noir City. The witch hunt has died down a little, but it's still going on. Probably the man who was able to exploit anti-communist hysteria more than anyone else in America was a writer named Mickey Spillane. He created the character of Private Eye Mike Hammer, who was an anti-commie killing machine, basically. Mickey Spillane became one of the best-selling authors in the world, actually, because he had taken what the Private Eye, who in the 1940s was kind of a lone wolf with the bottle in his drawer and all that, and Mickey Spillane just threw as much sex and violence into this character as it could possibly stand. And he was just a thug, basically. Mike Hammer was a thug. And Mickey Spillane always said that the perfect guy to play Mike Hammer was Mike Mazurki. If you know the actor Mike Mazurki. And Spillane stupidly said, if only that guy could act. And I have to say, Mickey, I've seen you play Mike Hammer in The Girl Hunters, and Mike Mazurki would have been great. I have a difficult time talking about Mickey Spillane because historically, I don't really like his books. I don't really like his novels. But I really like Mickey. I met him several times, and he was really just a nice, gentle, sweet guy. And I was driving him home one night from an event, and I said, I just have to ask you, man, what does it feel like to be one of the best-selling authors of the 20th century? And he hit me. He reached across and he slugged me in the shoulder and said, don't you ever call me that again. And I said, well, what did I say? He says, I am not an author. I am a writer. And I am a comic book writer above that. So Mickey knew where he was coming from, right? And he legitimately was a comic book writer. That's what he started out doing. And then became, basically the paperback book industry thrived because of Mickey Spillane. His signet paperbacks of these Mike Hammer stories were just a phenomenon. And a very savvy producer named Victor Saville, a Brit, bought the rights to all of these books and started churning out Mickey Spillane adaptations in the 1950s. The best of the bunch, by far, is the movie that you are about to see, Kiss Me Deadly. But what makes this movie so unusual is that the writer of the screenplay, Buzz Bizzarides, hated Mickey Spillane and hated the novels. And he completely subverted the book. In the book, it's all about drugs and, commonplace crime stuff, with a little anti-commie overtone, of course. But in the movie, Bizzarides makes the centerpiece, the MacGuffin in this film, the great What's It, which speaks directly to not just the Cold War hysteria, but the idea that men were messing around with the possibility of destroying all life on Earth because of the arms race and nuclear power and all of this stuff. And none of that stuff is in Mickey's novel. And Mickey hated the movie, hated the movie. Said, the only thing left of mine is the title. That's it. The rest is all that other guy. And of course, Buzz was a very, very successful screenwriter and had a lot of wonderful films to his credit. When this film was released, it was kind of shocking, especially overseas, where people couldn't believe the way the movie ended. Now, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but I will come back before the next movie and talk a little bit about the history of the ending of this film. I had specifically requested that we get the version of the film that was released in 1955 because I wanted you to see what audiences saw on screen then. We didn't get that version. You are getting the restored version of Kiss Me Deadly, which was a campaign for decades to find the actual ending of the film and put it back on the movie. But the fact that audiences saw a different ending in 1955 is what led to this film having somewhat legendary status, because the ending was so shocking and so unusual for the time. One of the great things about this movie is the performance of the leading man, Ralph Meeker, who definitely makes this Mike Hammer one of the thuggiest, cruelest, most arrogant and obnoxious private eyes in the history of movies. But he's pretty hot, I gotta say. He's great. Women go for Ralph Meeker. I mean, he is really something in this movie. And he's surrounded by an absolutely fantastic supporting cast of familiar faces that you will recognize from a million noirs. And Robert Aldrich does a fantastic job directing this movie, and there have been so many interpretations of what he has done in the film, and people reading symbolism into it and saying that this is the end, it's the apocalyptic film noir. And when they would question Robert Aldrich about that, he would say, what the hell, I shot what Buzz wrote in the script, right? That's what I did. And either way, the two of them are responsible for producing one of the really landmark noir films. So those of you who've seen it before, enjoy it again. Those of you who have not seen it, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. It's Kiss Me Dead.